The taste of copper flooded my mouth as Marcus's words registered in Japanese across the restaurant table. To be honest, my wife doesn't really understand the business world. She's content with her simple life. She's just there for appearance. Keeps the house running. Looks good at events like this. My fingers tightened around the stem of my wine glass. The crystal felt suddenly fragile, like it might crack under the pressure. I maintained my pleasant smile, the one I'd perfected over 12 years of marriage, while every cell in my body screamed. The ambient noise of the restaurant, the gentle clink of silverware, the murmur of other conversations seemed to crescendo and then fade, leaving only Marcus's voice speaking a language he believed I couldn't understand. Yamamoto-san made a polite sound, but I caught the flicker of discomfort that crossed his face. He shifted in his seat, his eyes briefly meeting mine before looking away. In that split second, I wondered if he sensed something, if some part of him recognized that I was absorbing every poisonous word. My name is Nicole. I'm 43, and for 18 months I'd been secretly fluent in Japanese. This is the story of how I made myself visible again. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was sitting in Hashiri, one of San Francisco's most exclusive Japanese restaurants, wearing the navy dress Marcus had selected, playing the role of the decorative wife while my husband systematically dismantled our marriage in a language he thought was his private code. Let me take you back 6 hours to when I still believed this dinner would be just another tedious business obligation. Remember, Marcus had said that morning as he adjusted his tie in our bathroom mirror, just be pleasant tonight. Yamamoto-san doesn't speak much English. You'll probably be bored, but smile through it. He'd kissed my cheek absently, wear the navy dress, conservative but elegant. What he didn't know, what he'd never thought to ask, was that I'd spent the last year and a half rebuilding myself one Japanese character at a time. It had started innocently enough. A free trial for a language app appearing on my phone during one of many sleepless nights. I'd taken a semester of Japanese in college before meeting Marcus, before my dreams got filed away under impractical interests from your youth. That first night, lying beside my snoring husband, I downloaded the app just to see if I remembered anything. The hiragana came back like muscle memory. Within weeks, I was addicted. Every evening while Marcus worked late or watched his financial news channels, I sat at the kitchen table with earbuds in, working through lessons, watching dramas, video chatting with tutors on a talkie. I didn't tell Marcus. 3 years earlier, I'd mentioned wanting to take a photography class. He'd laughed, not meanly, but in that way that made me feel small. Nicole, you take pictures with your iPhone like everyone else. You don't need a class for that. After that, I learned to keep my interests quiet. Japanese became my secret world, proof that I was still capable of growth, still someone beyond just Marcus's wife. By the time Marcus announced this dinner with his potential Japanese partner, I was conversationally fluent. When he casually mentioned that he'd picked up Japanese working with their Tokyo office, when he said it with such pride while never once asking what I did with my time, something cold settled in my chest. Now, sitting across from Yamamoto-san at this precisely appointed table, I was grateful for that 18 months of secret study. Because what I was hearing was so much worse than I could have imagined. The dinner had started normally enough, pleasantries in English. Yamamoto-san's accent was mild, his vocabulary extensive. Then the natural shift to Japanese as menus arrived. Marcus's fluency was impressive, I had to admit. He spoke smoothly about market projections, technical specifications, expansion strategies. I played my role perfectly, sipped water, smiled at appropriate moments, let my eyes glaze over as if I couldn't follow along. Then Yamamoto-san had turned to me, a polite inquiry in Japanese about my work. Marcus answered before I could even pretend confusion. Oh, Nicole works in marketing, but it's just a small company. Nothing serious. More of a hobby, really, to keep her busy. She mainly takes care of our home. A hobby. 15 years of building campaigns, managing client relationships, creating content that had won regional awards, dismissed as a way to keep busy. I took another sip of water, the liquid suddenly tasteless in my mouth. But Marcus wasn't finished. It works well for me because I don't have to worry about a wife who demands too much attention or has her own ambitions getting in the way. The next course arrived, delicate sashimi arranged like art on dark slate. I picked up my chopsticks with steady hands while my internal world tilted sideways. Yamamoto-san changed the subject, clearly uncomfortable. He asked about Marcus's long-term goals. "The VP position is basically mine," Marcus continued in Japanese, his tone casual, confident. "And after that, I'm looking at C-suite within 5 years. I've been positioning myself carefully. My wife doesn't know this yet, but I've been moving some assets around, setting up some offshore accounts. Just smart financial planning. If my career requires relocating or making big changes, I need the flexibility to move quickly without being tied down by joint accounts and her having to sign off on everything." My throat constricted. The sashimi in front of me might as well have been plastic. Offshore accounts, moving our assets without telling me. The financial planning sessions where he'd assured me everything was transparent, that we were building our future together. All lies, or at least not the whole truth. Yamamoto-san's discomfort was more visible now. His responses became shorter, more formal. But Marcus, oblivious or uncaring, pressed on. "There's someone at work," he said, and I gripped my chopsticks so hard my knuckles went white beneath the table. "Jennifer. She's in finance. We've been seeing each other for about 6 months now. My wife has no idea. Honestly, it's been good for me. Jennifer understands my world, my ambitions. We talk strategy, make plans. It's refreshing after coming home to someone who can't discuss anything more complex than what's for dinner." The restaurant suddenly felt airless. I counted my breaths. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. An old anxiety management technique from college that I'd forgotten I knew. The conversation around us continued, a symphony of oblivious normalcy. At the next table, a couple celebrated an anniversary. Across the room, a group of coworkers laughed at someone's story. And at our table, my husband detailed the architecture of his betrayal in a language he believed was his fortress. I looked at Yamamoto-san and saw him looking back at me. Just for a heartbeat, our eyes met. In his expression, I saw confirmation. He knew. He understood that I understood. And in that moment of silent recognition, something clicked into place. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to cause a scene. I was going to be strategic. I was going to use every single skill I'd developed in 18 months of secret study, every documented detail of our finances I could access, every resource available to me. I was going to take back control of my life, even if it meant burning down everything I thought I'd built. The dinner ended with strained cordiality. Yamamoto-san bowed to me in the lobby, said in careful English, "It was a pleasure meeting you, Mrs. Nicole. I wish you well." His eyes held understanding, perhaps even respect. He'd been uncomfortable throughout Marcus's revelations, but he was too polite to challenge a potential business partner directly. Later, I would learn that he quietly withdrew from negotiations with Marcus within the week, but that night, I didn't know what his next move would be. We walked to the car in silence, and the drive home felt interminable. Marcus hummed along to the radio, pleased with himself. "That went well. I think we're closing this deal." "That's wonderful," I said, my voice hollow. At home, Marcus disappeared into his office to check emails. I walked upstairs, closed our bedroom door, and pulled out my phone. Riley had been my college roommate, my best friend before life and distance, and Marcus's subtle discouragement had pulled us apart. She'd become a family law attorney, survived her own divorce 5 years ago. We'd recently reconnected on social media, exchanged a few messages, but I hadn't told her anything real about my life. Until now. "Riley," I said when she answered, my voice breaking. "I need a lawyer." We talked for 2 hours. I told her everything. The dinner, the Japanese conversation, the offshore accounts, the affair named Jennifer, the years of feeling diminished and dismissed. "First," Riley said when I finished, "breathe. Can you do that?" I breathed. "Second, what he's doing with those offshore accounts could be illegal, definitely unethical in terms of marital assets. We can use that. But Nicole, I need you to listen carefully. Don't confront him yet. I know you want to, but we need to be strategic. Starting tomorrow, you're going to gather documentation, bank statements, tax returns, any financial records you can access. Take photos, forward yourself emails. If he's moving money, there will be a paper trail." The next morning, I called in sick to work. Marcus barely noticed, just grunted acknowledgement as he left for the office. The moment his car disappeared down the street, I began searching. Marcus kept meticulous files in his home office. I found bank statements going back 3 years, tax returns, investment account information. I photographed everything with trembling hands, uploaded it all to a secure cloud drive Riley had set up for me. And there it was, 2 accounts I'd never seen before. Regular transfers over the past 8 months. $50,000 moved to a bank in the Cayman Islands. Our joint savings, slowly drained without my knowledge or consent. I found the emails to Jennifer next. He'd been careless, printing some exchanges to reference figures or dates. The content was damning. Romantic, sexual, planning a future that clearly didn't include me. Once I've handled the Nicole situation, one email read, "We can stop hiding." The Nicole situation. That's what 12 years of marriage had become. A situation to be handled. I spent 6 weeks living a double life. Every morning I woke up beside a man I now saw clearly for the first time. Every smile was performance. Every casual conversation was strategy. I cooked dinners, asked about his day, played the role of the unknowing wife while building my case with Riley. We met twice a week at her office. She reviewed documents, built strategy, prepared filings. We weren't just divorcing. We were reporting his financial misconduct to his company's ethics board. The offshore accounts violated corporate policy. He could lose more than just me. "Are you sure you want to go this far?" Riley asked during one session. "The company piece will be nuclear." He was already planning to leave me with nothing, I said. "I'm just moving first." We chose a Friday. Riley filed the divorce papers Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, instead of going to work, I went to Riley's office. At 9 a.m., Marcus's HR department would receive our evidence package. At 9:30, the divorce papers would be served at his office. I sat in Riley's conference room, phone off, watching the clock. At 11, confirmation arrived. Papers served, evidence received. Marcus's employer had placed him on administrative leave pending investigation. "How do you feel?" Riley asked. "Terrified," I admitted, but right. Marcus tried calling 47 times that first day, left voicemails ranging from confused to angry to pleading. I didn't listen to them. Riley did, documenting everything for our case. On Saturday, escorted by Riley and a police officer, I returned to the house to collect my belongings. Marcus was there, looking terrible, unshaven, rumpled, eyes red. "Nicole, please," he started. I held up my hand. "Don't." "Let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been cheating on me? That you've been hiding money? That you called me too simple to understand your world?" I looked at him directly. I heard every word at that dinner, Marcus. Every single word. His face went white. You don't speak Japanese." "I've been fluent for over a year. Funny how you never asked, never wondered what I did with my time while you were too busy with work or Jennifer." He sank onto the couch. "The company put me on leave. They're investigating. Nicole, I could lose my job. That's not my problem anymore." I started toward the stairs. His voice stopped me, desperate now. "Wait, we can fix this? Couples therapy. I'll end things with Jennifer. We can work through this." I turned back to look at him. This man I'd spent 12 years with, who I'd loved, who I'd believed loved me. "You don't want to fix this. You want to fix your career, your image, your financial situation. You're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you got caught." "That's not true." "At that dinner, you told Yamamoto-san I was just for appearance, that I was too simple, too unambitious, that I was essentially a live-in housekeeper who looked good at events. Do you even remember saying that?" His silence was answer enough. "I'm done being small for you, Marcus. I'm done being the convenient wife who doesn't demand too much. Fight the divorce if you want, but you're not going to win, and you're not getting away with hiding our assets." I spent 2 hours packing while he sat motionless on the couch. The divorce took 8 months. California's 6-month waiting period stretched while we negotiated the settlement. Marcus's company investigation found sufficient evidence of ethical violations. They terminated him. He found another position eventually, but at a lower level, lower salary. All the carefully constructed career momentum he'd been so proud of, disrupted. As for Jennifer, their relationship didn't survive the scandal. She transferred to another office to escape the gossip, and from what I heard through mutual acquaintances, Marcus tried to maintain contact, but she ended things within 2 months of his termination. Whatever fantasy they'd built together crumbled when the reality of consequences arrived. The offshore accounts had to be disclosed and divided. The properties I hadn't known about became part of the marital assets. I walked away with half of everything he'd tried to hide, plus spousal support for 3 years. But the best part, the thing I never saw coming, happened 2 months into the divorce process. Yamamoto-san reached out through LinkedIn. His message was brief but warm. He'd heard about the divorce. He was opening a U.S. office for his company, needed someone who understood both American marketing and Japanese business culture. My unique skill set, he wrote, would be invaluable. I met with him and his team. This time I spoke Japanese from the first moment. His eyes lit up with genuine respect. "I knew," he said in Japanese, "at the restaurant, the way you held yourself when Marcus spoke about you. I saw the understanding in your eyes, just for a moment. I am glad you found your strength." They offered me the position, Senior Marketing Director, salary triple what I'd been making. I accepted immediately. That was 20 years ago. I'm 63 now, recently retired after running that marketing department for 18 years. I traveled to Japan dozens of times, made genuine friendships, became someone who existed beyond being somebody's wife. I never remarried. Dated occasionally, had one serious relationship that lasted 5 years with a fellow executive I met at a conference. Michael was kind and respected my independence, but ultimately, we wanted different things. He dreamed of retiring to a quiet countryside, while I was still energized by city life and travel. We parted as friends when I was 55, and I spent the next 8 years fully immersed in my career and personal passions before retiring last year. Marcus sent me an email once, about 3 years after the divorce was final. He'd remarried, not to Jennifer, but to someone he met at his new company, apologized for how things ended, and said he hoped I was well. I never responded. Some chapters don't need epilogues. Riley and I remained close through everything. She attended every one of my work milestones, celebrated my promotions, and we still have dinner monthly. She was the one who helped me realize that the dinner at Hashiri, as painful as it was, had given me the greatest gift, the truth about my life and the courage to change it. I still study Japanese, though now purely for pleasure. I read novels, watch films, sometimes tutor young professionals who want to learn. The language that started as a secret escape became the thing that saved me, that showed me I was capable of more than I'd been allowing myself to believe. That dinner at Hashiri was simultaneously the worst and best night of my life. Worst because I heard truths that shattered my reality. Best because it finally pushed me to act, to stop accepting less than I deserved. If you're listening to this and you're in a relationship where you feel invisible, where your interests are dismissed, where you're made to feel small, pay attention to that feeling. Learn the language, whatever that means for you. Gather the evidence. Find your Riley. And when you're ready, take back your life. It won't be easy. It will hurt. There will be nights where you question everything. But on the other side of that pain is a life where you get to be fully yourself, where your voice matters, where you're not just decorative but essential. And that life is worth fighting for. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.